it's the same brand. They're both the same color, but are they actually the same? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing a comparison on liquid dye versus powder dye. So I usually tend to use liquid dye, but I always wondered if the powder dye was the same thing. I mean, it's the same brand. They're both the same color, but are they actually the same? Obviously, one is liquid form and one is powder form. So I wanted to see the differences between the two. So for the liquid dye, this one comes in 8 fluid ounces, while the powder dye comes in 1 1/8 ounces. So that's already a difference. So I, off the bat, thought that one of these equaled one of these, but that's not the case. According to RIT's website, one of these equals 2 packets of these. So keep that in mind. I'm glad I did my research beforehand because I was going to do 1 and 1 and obviously results would have been different. So one of these on average costs $6.99 and one of these on average costs $3.49. So if you double up one of these to equal one of these, it's practically the same price. So it's $6.98 versus $6.99. Obviously only a 1 cent difference. So right off the bat, the price is pretty much the same. So obviously I'm going to be using the exact same color for these, which is the denim blue. That way we get to see if the shade is different or not. So now the real test is going to be how they actually dye. Are they similar? Are they different? We're going to have to see. So if you're curious to see how similar or different these are, then let's get started. I'm starting with the liquid dye, and for this one you just have to give it a good shake and pour as much dye as you need. I'm using 4 ounces of this. Now for the powder dye, you want to get a small amount of water and pour the powder into it. I used 1 packet of the powder. Use a metal spoon to mix it and make sure the particles get really dissolved. 1 bottle of the 8-ounce liquid dye equals 2 packets of powder dye, which is why I used 4 ounces of liquid dye and 1 packet of powder. Then I filled 2 buckets with the same amount of hot water and then poured the dye into each one. The left is the liquid dye and the right is the powder dye. And do you see how the liquid is still lingering in the water while the powder dye seems to have completely absorbed into the water? This is just a small observation that I noticed while editing and I wanted to mention it. So then I poured salt into both and mixed everything using a metal spoon. Comparing the dyes side by side, the color looks practically the same, so we'll see if that ends up changing. Once everything was mixed, I wet 2 cotton t-shirts and put them into the dye baths and dunked them using metal spoons. These are the exact same style and size, that way we really get to see if there's a difference or not. And here we have them after just being dunked, and as you can see they are pretty much looking identical in color. There's not really much of a difference. That may change after being in the bath for a while, so I'm going to mix these consistently for an hour. When dyeing, always remember you always want to make sure to turn your garment so it doesn't stay in one place for too long, because that can easily cause your garment to dye unevenly or leave patches. After the hour was up, I went ahead and took these out of the dye baths and placed them in the sink. I rinsed these until the water was clear. I usually like using a dye fixative after dyeing to make sure the garment absorbs the dye better and doesn't bleed. But since these were just a test, I didn't feel like wasting fixative. And since I didn't use a fixative, this did take some time to get all the dye out, but it's all good. I squeezed out the excess water and then threw these into the wash. I washed these with an old towel using the quick wash setting, and then I let them air dry. And here they are after they've been washed. We have the liquid and the powder. Tell me you don't think these look identical. Like, just look at that. For some reason the camera is picking up the colors weird, because look at the sleeve and the bodice, it doesn't even match, but I promise you in person it matches. And then on camera this one is kind of picking up a little bit darker than this one, but dude, looking at it in person, these look identical. Like, you can't even tell which is which. And if you're wondering how I was able to tell which one is liquid and powder, I did mark it on the tag. So the one that's liquid, I did cut the tag to reference it because I thought these might differ, but as you see, it didn't. It's so trippy. And if you're wondering why the stitching remained white, it's because the thread is polyester, and this type of dye doesn't work on polyester, so it's never gonna dye. But yeah, just wanted to share that. But dude, I can't believe how close these two are. So crazy. And here we have them once again. Dude, twins right here. I was not expecting them to be as identical as they are. Like, you would straight up think these were dyed with the exact same dye. Obviously, one is powder form, one is liquid form, and they're both the same color. But honestly, I was expecting one to at least be a little bit darker or lighter than the other, but no, dude. Twins, straight up the same. I can't believe it. So now that I think about it, which is obviously common sense, I think what happens is that RIT creates their powder form, and then from that powder form, they package it into this, and then they take some of it and add a liquid to it, water or whatever it is, and then they package this. So it's obviously the same thing, but this is the liquid version. So now that we obviously know that these dye the exact same, how do you choose which one to use? Honestly, I feel like it's all about preference. For me personally, I feel like I'm still gonna reach for the liquid ones because I feel like it's faster, it's more convenient for me. I feel like storage is better because if you only want to use half of the packet for some reason, when putting it away, it might seem like a little bit more of the struggle since you do have to close up the packet and then there might be powder just wanting to peek out and stuff in comparison to this one where you just close the lid. So I'm still gonna be reaching for this one. I feel like it's easier. It has less of a step than having to add the water to this one, but this one is still good if I want to do like tie-dye. Definitely for tie-dye, I would reach for this one because it has the powder form and I feel like this is going to be easier. Put it into the bottles, add some water, shake it up, and then start my tie-dyeing. So for this one, I personally feel like it's better for tie-dye and then this one for all my other projects. But honestly, if you're going to the store and there's no liquid and there's powder, go for the powder because it's the exact same thing. And if there's no powder and you want powder and there's liquid, just go for the liquid. I'm telling you, these are the exact same thing. They're fraternal twins. And I feel like you can even use them interchangeably. I would still dissolve this one on its own measuring cup just to make sure all the little powder is dissolved and like there's nothing there. I wouldn't mix it with this one just because it would kind of be harder to tell. So I would dissolve this one, place it in the dye bath, and then get this one and place it in the dye bath and then mix them all together. You're obviously going to get the same color, but I would still do this one on its own. So obviously which one you like and which one you want to use depends on what method you like. But like I mentioned in this test, these are pretty much the exact same thing. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this little comparison and learned something new. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to leave me your thoughts and comments. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already. And yeah, I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.